So this bridge in the distance over here is the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau road bridge. It's actually a bridge and a tunnel, and it's the only crossing that's open 24 hours. So you can get the bus across from the mainland, but if you have a car, you can actually drive your car from Hong Kong to here, but it's not allowed the other way for cars, so you have to get the bus. This takes you directly to Hong Kong Airport. Behind me is the Zhuhai-Macau border. Very shortly we're about to go across. It's kind of exciting because it'll be my first time in Macau. I've lived in Shenzhen all that time, and it's my first ever time to Macau, so I'm interested to see how different it is. Apparently it has around 100,000 people crossing this border a day, so there's a lot of people wanting to go and visit Macau, so we're going to go and have a look and see what's what. Right, we're now in Macau. And one of the reasons, you know, that you see all the signs here, they're in Portuguese, Chinese and English. Macau was once colonized by Portugal, so a lot of the people actually speak Portuguese, and that language is still kept alive here. So we're at the top of the old college and church area. It's quite a high point, you can see, over Macau. It's very different what you get in mainland. It reminds me more like a cross between Hong Kong and European city. And these things just over here in the walls, there would have been cannons in here to protect this area of the city. I think this is the central part of the city. And yeah, it's very old. I believe this dates back to the 1600s when it was first built, but it's been destroyed a number of times by fire, so there's only very small parts of the original left actually. So as you can see, the cannons are here, and apparently all these cannons were actually made in Macau. They had a factory to produce these, and this, you can see in the distance now there's a casino, but apparently this used to be the riverside, so they would identify the ships coming at the river there, friend or foe, and if they were enemy ships they would fire the cannons at them. I would imagine these cannons were aiming at the water. So we're standing in Macau, and as you can see just across there is the Chinese mainland of Zhuhai, and just over here we can see there's a special like track coming up to here so they could actually get the cannons up. And this is the special track that was made so they could get the cannons up to the top. Obviously if they had stairs they wouldn't be able to, so it's like a stairs and this sort of smooth ramp. And I guess it would have still been hard getting the cannons up here because they're very, very heavy, but it's yeah, this was built specially for that. So this is one of the only parts of the church that's remaining, and this was built of marble, and the reason why that's the only part remaining is a lot of the structure was made of wood and it got destroyed in a fire. And this is why this is such a famous tourist spot, because this is the original facade from when it was rebuilt, I think the second time. The first time it completely got destroyed, and there's only this and some foundations that are actually left standing. So behind me, this is the Nerja temple. It's a Buddhist temple, and you can see the front is very traditional Chinese design, but the back part is much more of a sort of Western design. And it's interesting because right over here we have the remains of the Catholic Church, and right here we have a Buddhist temple. These two religions just right next to each other. Quite interesting. You can see one of the characteristics of Macau is the small cobbled streets. And this is very typical of Portuguese architecture, the cobbled streets. If you go to Portugal and Europe, you will see similar cobbled streets like this. Very narrow, very European style. So right now in Macau, this is going to be one of my favourite things because I'm quite into motorsport, and this is the Grand Prix Museum, and somebody's told me there's a simulator in there, so I'm like really excited to have a go on the simulator. Macau hold Formula 3, and it's a street circuit, so being a street circuit is much more of a challenging circuit for the drivers, so I'm really excited to go and see the museum. Okay, we're ready to go. Yeah, we're race ready. Oh my God, look at this. Wow. The first one they have on display is a British brand, a Triumph. Wow, that is so cool. This is from the 1980s. This is when I used to watch it a lot on TV. Oh, they're so cool. So look at the radiator, look, to get the maximum air to cool the engine. Slick tyres on it, look. All done up in. Marlboro were a massive sponsor. Marlboro is a cigarette company, but they were a massive sponsor of motor racing at one time. It's one of the most famous drivers ever, the Brazilian Ayrton Senna, and he got killed doing exactly what he loved. When they have his funeral, like half of Brazil came out because he was like super famous, Ayrton Senna was. Ready? Let's go. Okay. Oh, I see. That was really good. I was very impressed with that. It was really good. It's very realistic and it's a lot harder. That's a really tight track. So far, this has got to be one of my favourite places. I'm kind of into motorsport. I used to follow Formula 1 a lot. Every year Macau have a Formula 3 race. And what's really interesting is actually a street course. And those are some of the most challenging. Yeah, a lot of courses in other countries are purpose-built. This is actually a street course, so the driver's skill is incredible. And this place is just fantastic. They have a lot of history here of motor racing. You have Ayrton Senna, you have Lewis Hamilton, you have Sebastian Vettel, you have Michael Schumacher. You know, these are like world champions, and it's all here in Macau. And I think, I was thinking earlier that I feel that in the future, China are going to play, or Chinese companies are going to play a much bigger role in motor racing. Historically, motor racing has been dominated by European organisations and brands, but now you have a lot of big Chinese car brand companies, and I think they're going to get more and more involved in motor racing, like Geely and Xiaomi and maybe NIO and some of these companies. They're going to get more and more involved in motor racing, and I hope to see more sort of interest in motor racing on the Chinese mainland. I don't actually know many people who are into motor racing, but it's obviously a big thing here in Macau, so it'd be nice to see some spill over to the mainland. But it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to be here, and you know, come to Macau, you must come to this place because it is really, really good. I think I must make a point of coming back to Macau when that race is happening, because the atmosphere will be absolutely electric. I would really like to come. Okay, we're currently walking up to the highest natural point in Macau, and it's the point where they've put the lighthouse, and that lighthouse, the construction was completed in 1865. However, it's still used to the present day. It's still operational. So that's kind of cool, right? So behind me now you can see the lighthouse, and for many, many years before ships and boats had sophisticated radar and lidar technology, lighthouses were how they navigated, and there was always a lighthouse on sort of parts of land that were on the edge of the sea, and it was like a warning that they were approaching land, because in foggy circumstances ships find it difficult to see the coastline. So there's many lighthouses all around the world, and this what's kept shipping safe for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this one here is actually still operational today. As I said earlier, finished construction in 1865, but it's still operational today, and it looks in absolutely good condition. You can see a weather vane on the top. And as it's the highest point, I can see they've also got a telecoms mast here, which is probably beaming telecommunication signals all around Macau. We have 5G and 4G antennas just here. So Macau was previously a Portuguese colony. 25 years ago, almost to the day, actually it was just 2 weeks ago, they celebrated the 25th anniversary of the handing back to China. And we're about to go into a museum, which is the Handing Over Museum. It was handed back about 2 to 3 years after Hong Kong was handed back. And that's why there's such a Portuguese sort of culture here as well as Chinese. And it's quite interesting. Macau, they've really fused the East culture with Western culture. It's a mix of East and Western culture here. Very, very interesting. So these are actually bells, and these were presented by the province of Hubei. You can see all around, these are all gifts from various provinces and autonomous regions of China to Macau on the handover of Macau back to China from Portugal. There's beautiful vases here, look. And these vases are from, oh, these are from Jiangxi. Wow, they're so beautiful. And what do we have over here? Oh, this is from Shanxi. Wow, that's amazing wooden sculpture. Of course, from Sichuan, it must be pandas, because Sichuan is the place for pandas. Oh, look. This is one of my favourite things. Look at this. Whoa. Oh, this is thicker than I've seen it before. I like the thinner one. Oh, look at that. Wow. So it's like literally down here is like everything, souvenirs, bakery stuff. Oh, more of it here, look. It's obviously very popular here. God, it's so busy down here. Oh, it's got
Hey, hello, Mr. Jenny. You want to try?
Oh, no, thank you. Turkish ice cream here. Yeah. They're all trying to get you to try things. It's very lively down here, that's for sure. There's a lot going on. Whoa. It's kind of a bit of a overload for your senses. There's smells of different stuff everywhere. There's lots of people trying to sell you stuff. And there's just a mad amount of stuff to look at. It's just a bit crazy, really. So we've just eaten in this restaurant and we've come outside and there's this kind of projector show going on. It's kind of cool.